What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Dominic Rich, and in today's video I'll be doing a preview / prediction for the opening match of the 2022 World Cup between host Qatar and the South American nation of Ecuador. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Guys, the World Cup is back. I'm hyped. I'm excited. I can't contain myself. In the opening match of the last World Cup, host Russia completely obliterated Saudi Arabia. Are we going to have a similar type of game? That'll be nice. Qatar versus Ecuador. Qatar and Ecuador were drawn in Group A alongside Senegal and Netherlands. The opening match of the 2022 World Cup will be played on Sunday, November the 20th at the Al Bayt Stadium. Before we get into anything else, let's talk about how each team qualified for the 2022 World Cup. Qatar became the third Asian country and the first Arab nation to host the FIFA World Cup after South Korea and Japan did so in 2002, which meant they qualified as hosts and are the only debutants at the tournament. As for the South American nation of Ecuador, they are making their fourth appearance on the big stage after placing fourth in CONMEBOL's World Cup qualifying tournament. Debutants Qatar are currently managed by the Spaniard Felix Sanchez, who's been in charge since 2017. They will be looking to start their World Cup story off with a fairy tale chapter. As for Ecuador, they're currently managed by the Argentinian Gustavo Alfaro, who's been in charge for the last 2 years. He will be looking to take this young tricolor team past their best finish of the round of 16. Let's take a brief moment to appreciate some legends from Qatar and Ecuador. Let's start with Qatar. Sebastian Soria, the Uruguayan-born striker, made 123 appearances between 2007 and 2017, scoring a total of 39 goals. Ecuador, Antonio Valencia, the former Villarreal and Manchester United winger, made a total of 99 appearances between 2004 and 2019. He also represented La Tricolor at 2 World Cups. I'm pretty sure that these two teams, Qatar and Ecuador, could draw some inspiration from a few of their legendary players. Let's get into some head-to-head. Qatar and Ecuador have met each other on 3 separate occasions, with all 3 games being played in Qatar. The last game was held in 2018 and it ended in a 4-3 thriller in favor of Qatar. Ecuador do have 1 win and a draw in games dating back to the 1990s. Let's talk about the form for both teams going into the World Cup. This could either hold a lot of weight or no weight at all, because this is a tournament setting and there might be a lot of friendlies leading up to the World Cup where teams are just trying to get in shape and figure out their best 11 tactics and so on and so forth. So let's start with Qatar. They have 3 matches at the World Cup. First they play Ecuador, then they play Senegal, and then they play the Netherlands. But before the World Cup, so far there might be a few more games. I haven't looked at their practice match schedule as yet, but they had quite a bit of friendlies leading up to the tournament. They defeated Albania 0-0, 2-1 against Panama, 1-0 against Honduras, 2-0 against Guatemala, beat Nicaragua 2-1, a 2-2 draw against Chile, and they did lose a game against Canada back in September, 2-0, and lost to the Croatia under-23 teams. There might have been a lot of experimentation there, but they've been playing a lot of friendlies. They've been getting a lot of practice. Qatar has been desperately preparing for the World Cup. They entered into the Copa America, the Gold Cup, and even joined the European World Cup qualifiers, where they were playing against teams from Group A, if I could recall, Portugal and Serbia and so forth. And they also took part in Asian qualifiers just so that they could get that well-needed preparation. So you take a look at these fixtures, they haven't really played a lot of big teams that are going to really challenge them, but they did well. They played a lot of games in Spain there. They've been playing a lot of games in Spain, been playing a few games in Austria as well. So they've been touring a lot of games in Austria, a lot of games, unofficial friendlies. They've been just getting a lot of preparation against clubs. Qatar themselves are like a club team where most of the players play for only a few clubs in the Qatar Stars League. And that's the beauty about this Qatar team. All their players play locally, so they know each other, they know their strengths, their weaknesses, and they've been a unit for some time. So it's fair to say that Qatar are going into the tournament in very, very good form, and they could surprise. I'm not predicting Qatar to get out their group. My prediction for Qatar is 4th, but they can surprise. Let me just put it that way. Senegal and Ecuador might be beatable. Maybe even Netherlands. So let's take a look at Ecuador's recent matches. From my recollection, Ecuador started World Cup qualifiers in CONMEBOL like a train on fire, but that train slowly extinguished, so they've calmed down. The storm have calmed, if I could put it that way. And if you take a look at the recent fixtures, they haven't been losing a lot of games, but 0-0 against Iraq, 0-0 against Japan, 0-0 against Saudi Arabia. Good preparation for this group, in my opinion. They did beat Cape Verde 1-0, drew against Mexico, beat Nigeria, a 1-1 against Argentina in World Cup qualifiers, which is very, very big. They did lose to Paraguay in that World Cup qualifying as well, but over their last 10 games, in 2022, Ecuador have only lost a single match. So it's fair to say that they're coming into the tournament in reasonably good form, and they themselves could also be a jack-in-the-box type team where they could spring a surprise on the likes of Netherlands, Senegal, and Qatar. So this one is well poised, in my opinion. But one thing that I noticed with the Ecuadorian team from the recent fixtures, their goal scoring prowess is lacking. They have not scored enough goals, and they would need their forwards to step up big time, or even their midfielders and their defenders to contribute to the goal scoring act. So this is going to be interesting. So guys, let's get into the players to watch. I found this really, really good article on the Guardian website, and it's beautiful. It has the entire squad. It has a little breakdown on all the players, but we're not going to get into the breakdown of all the players. But what I'm going to use this graphic to do is to just identify some of the key players or players to watch, in my opinion, for both teams. And I know you could add some as well in the comments. Please do. I will definitely appreciate that. So let's take a look at the Qatari squad. Some players that I think we have to keep an eye on. Especially, we have to keep an eye on these players. Abdel Karim Hassan. He's powerful. He runs a lot. He got to pack a punch with his strike. And he's going to be a very dangerous player. He does play in the fullback positions, but he could drift in the midfield, and he could be a goal threat for Qatar from way back. There's also Pedro Miguel and Tariq Salman. These guys have been around. All these guys have been around for some time. Bassam Al-Wari, but especially Abdel Karim Hassan. Let's scroll down a bit more to see who else makes my list. And a player that I have on my list as well is Abdul Aziz Hatem, another star in this Qatari team, indeed. So we're going to need to keep an eye on him. I remember he scored a brilliant goal. I think it was in the Copa America, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a powerful midfielder there, and he would pose a goal threat, even one of the key players for this Qatari team. Then we scroll up, and we have to talk about Captain Fantastico Hassan Al-Hados. He's been around for a very, very long time, and he is indeed, I think, one of their talismanic players. But when you talk about stars from this Qatari team, you talk about Akram Afif. The guy's name spells FIFA backwards, for crying out loud. So he just embodies a star player. And Qatar, I think, produced a really, really good player in Akram Afif, who I think could play outside of Qatar and actually do well. But, these guys are going to play in Qatar forever, it seems. And a star man, Almoez Ali. Like, the guy scores goals for fun. He lit up the last Asian Cup where Qatar went on to lift that trophy for the first time ever. And he would actually provide an impetus going forward. So look out for these guys to do some damage for Qatar at this 2022 World Cup. Let's move on to Ecuador. The players that make my list for this Ecuadorian team are as follows. You have Pervis Estupinian, you have Jeremy Sarmiento, and also Moises Caicedo. All three players play for the same club in the English Premier League, and that's of course, Brighton and Hove Albion, who are doing well. Piero Hince-Pierre would also be another player to watch. This team is very, very young. They're talented. They have a lot of stamina, and they could be very, very, very explosive and unpredictable. Listen, Chile and Colombia, Paraguay, and those teams in South America, Peru, who missed out, could attest to what I'm just telling you there. So we scroll down a bit more, and of course, I mentioned Jeremy Sarmiento and Moises Caicedo. But we cannot talk about players to watch, key players, without mentioning Gonzalo Plata. You see, it's listed here that he's a dribbling virtuoso, and Moises Caicedo is a star player. This is a great article, by the way. Check it out on the Guardian website. And of course, we have to keep an eye on a player that they're going to depend on to score their goals, the captain, Enner Valencia, who seems like he's been around forever. So there you go, players to watch for both Qatar and for Ecuador. Fun facts. What would one of my World Cup previews be without me giving you some fun facts? Ecuador's Ivan Hurtado is the most capped South American player with 168 appearances in a career spanning 22 years. He also had the longest spanning career for any South American player. Qatar is by far the smallest country to host the World Cup, with its size being 4,471 square miles, compared to the largest country to ever host the World Cup, Russia, 6.6 million square miles. Wow. So guys, we get to the fun part of the video. I previewed both teams, made it as fun as possible. But now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Who do I think's gonna win, lose, or draw? Also, please let me know your predictions in the comment section down below, okay? Difficult. I wish I could have just done a preview and not do a prediction, but it's fun when you actually make the tough calls. So Qatar versus Ecuador here. The teams have met on 3 occasions, right? All the games were on home soil for Qatar. They won one, drew one, and lost another. But most recently, they defeated Ecuador. It's fair to say that they're going into this World Cup a little bit more well-oiled than Ecuador. They have home court advantage. I think they have a lot of their star players fit. A lot of these guys have been together for a very, very, very long time. While for Ecuador, this is a team, a very young team that's been put together over the last 2 years by Gustavo Alfaro, when Ecuador revamped their whole organization, their football organization, where they even changed their logo and everything. They changed up a lot of things. Even Jordi Cruyff was actually brought in to be their head coach at one time, and then it didn't work out. So Ecuador are transitioning. So they're a bit iffy. Qatar, I think, a more solid unit going into this game, while Ecuador, I think, could be very unpredictable and very all over the place. Well, you don't know what you're going to get. That could also be a good thing and a bad thing. So, look, for Qatar, they're hosts. No host nation have ever lost the opening game at a World Cup. And I don't think Qatar want to be the first to do so, And they'll have a lot of their fans in the stadium, of course. So they'll have the crowd cheering for them, of course, sounding out the Ecuadorian fans, the 1 or 2 Ecuadorian fans that's going to be at the stadium, of course. And they have everything going for them. You see what I mean? And I'm not going to say it's going to be like South Korea, Japan, where those teams had everything going for them. You get the point? But I think it's going to be a challenge for Ecuador to walk away with a positive result from this game, meaning a W or a draw. But could they do it? Of course they could. They picked up a draw against Argentina, the last World Cup qualifiers game. They did well during qualifiers. We know what they're capable of doing. They play high-intensity football. There's a lot of raw talent in that team with guys like Moises Caicedo and, of course, Pervis Estupiñán and all the talented players that they have in their team, right? But they have to be absolutely clinical, because this Qatari team, I'm telling you, if they're on their A game, people are going to be like, wow, they're going to be on the edge of their seats. Like, wow. We saw what Qatar did when they played in the Copa America. They showed glimpses of what they're capable of doing, but their form had really dipped off I think, since they won the Asian Cup. But I think they're still very, very, very dangerous. They're still dangerous. And Akram Afif, Almoez Ali, these guys are going to create chances. Hassan Al-Haidous. This is a team that they're going to play that possession-based type football, with Felix Bas Sanchez being a Spaniard, of course. He's been working in Qatar for over the last 10 years, and they're going to look to pass that ball around and play some very attractive football. One of the most attractive Asian teams to watch play, along with the likes of Japan and South Korea, of course. And I just have a feeling that these teams are going to cancel each other out, because I could see a very open game of football where Ecuador are not going to sit back and, not take the game to Qatar. And Qatar are not going to do this. Qatar are going to be similar. So I think we're going to have a few goals in this game, 4 to be exact, with both teams scoring 2 apiece. And I'm going to play it safe and say a draw, a 2-2 draw. I didn't predict any of these teams to get out of Group A. I'm predicting Qatar to come in 4th, Ecuador to place 3rd, but these teams would have to prove me wrong. I'm not saying as the tournament progresses, my predictions are not gonna, you see what I mean? I have to bend and I have to fold as the tournament progresses. I'm not going to be hell-bent on my predictions if Qatar wins their first game and they pick up a draw in their second. You see what I mean? So got to just keep an open mind there. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Fair enough, right? Fair enough. The next Group A game would be on November 21st, which is the following day between the Netherlands and Senegal. For Qatar, they meet Senegal on November 25th, and Netherlands take on Ecuador also on the very same day. So guys, I will be doing a preview for every single match at the 2022 World Cup. At least that's my goal. Let's see how possible it is. I managed to do it in 2018, a review and a preview for every game. So let's see if I can pull that off again. So let me know your thoughts on this game in the comment section down below. Let me know your group predictions as well. And thanks for watching another one. And until my next World Cup preview or prediction type video, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. And until next time, peace out. Rich Squad. Peace.